Many people feel a deep longing for something more, for richer meaning in their lives, but are unable to identify where that longing is coming from or how to come to terms with it. Many people seek happiness through acquiring material goods or achieving status, only to find a lack of fulfillment. At one time, my guest, Karen Olson, a successful marketing executive, felt the same. But one day in 1981, as she hurried to a business meeting in New York City, she noticed an elderly homeless woman outside Grand Central Station. Impulsively, Karen darted across the street and bought the woman a sandwich and an orange juice. She listened to the woman's story. This small act of kindness changed the trajectory of Karen's life. Karen, you are very welcome.
Well, thank you. Delighted to be here with you, Sharon.
Delighted to have you. What an amazing, first of all, kind gesture to a stranger on a street, Karen. What made you cross the street to
Well,
that place?
I had seen this woman before, and I had passed by her, but I think seeing her repeated times just tugged at my heart. And so on that day, I ran across the street into a deli, and I bought her a ham and cheese sandwich and an orange juice. And when I came back to give her the simple meal, she said, "Thank you. God bless you. I haven't eaten since yesterday." And she reached for my hand and she took my hand in hers. At that moment, I realized I had crossed an invisible line because my grandmother had always said to me, these bums, don't go near them. That's what they were called then. Um, but and she had somebody on her street who was homeless, and we would see him. He would walk out and turn and face St. John the Divine Church, which was on her block, and he would pray, and then he would pick up his bags and walk 12 steps or so and turn around and pray. And it was at that point I wanted to do something. And she said, "No, no, people like that want to be that way." So it wasn't until I saw Millie that I that wasn't until I saw Millie that I decided I wanted to give her a sandwich.
Oh, and that meeting Millie and she taking you by the hand stirred something inside of you. And listening to her story, Karen, what did it stir up inside of you moving forward?
Well, she was a person first, a woman who had been married, who had two sons. Her husband was a chef and he died, and she was left alone. And one son had died, and the other son was on the West Coast. So she was all alone, and she would sometimes find shelter in a shelter in New York City, a woman's shelter, but she would also find shelter in Grand Central Station until they kicked everybody out at 4 o'clock in the morning. And, I just looking at her and sensing the life she had before. Now she was homeless. Uh, it just stirred up, feelings in me. I recognized her sadness.
That sadness that you felt from Millie that day, where was that sadness inside of you, Karen?
Well, I began to relate to people who were homeless when I realized that it was coming from loss of my mother when I was just 12. She committed suicide, and that was a terrible loss for me. And I left a hole in my heart. And I cried myself to sleep at night. I had a toy cat with a rubbery face that a friend of my father's had given me. And within a few short months after my mother's death, the smiley face on the cat was washed away with my tears. So I haven't talked about that until I wrote the book. Before I would just say, Millie, but I recognize it came from the hole in my heart. But, pain can have a silver lining. And that was definitely a silver lining because it made me want to reach out to others.
That is so beautiful. So
Mhm.
heartbreaking to lose your mother, in taking her own life and to be just 12 years of age and first having to cope with that grief and shock, but the sadness that you held as a child and bringing it into adulthood. Did that drive you forward in your career, Karen? Was it something that you did to kind of fill the void or distract yourself from the sadness?
Yes, probably so. I Sadness was in me, but I became a consumer promotions manager for the Warner Lambert Company. And the backstory to that is my father remarried and was in a happy marriage. And his wife, my stepmother, said, "You won't be a nurse, Karen. I was a nurse. You don't have what it takes." So just like that, my dream was shattered. And so that was my way of helping people because I volunteered as a team at a hospital. And that gave me a lot of solace that I was able to help people that way. And it caused me to want to be a nurse. So my dream was shattered just like that. And
Yeah, that's hard. Sometimes other people think they know what's best for us or what we might be better at doing, and we listen to those words of others. But all of those years later in your career and being successful and meeting Millie, a homeless woman on the side of the street, changed how you wanted to live the rest of your life to help others, bringing back, I suppose, that nurturing, nursing, caring part of you, living it in a different way, but also fulfilling some of the sadness by helping others in their sadness, Karen.
yes, that's very true. I found very fulfilled by reaching out to others. And Millie was just one person I helped. Excuse me. I When I got back home, I told my two sons about Millie, and they said, "Mom, let's find more people like Millie and bring them sandwiches." So we did. We made 25 sandwiches and we roller skated around Central Park, giving out the sandwiches in our backpack. But the sandwiches were exhausted all too soon. So the next time we went in, we saw that many people were gathered who were homeless in Port Authority bus terminal. So we then brought 50 sandwiches in, ham and cheese, and other deli sandwiches, and juice in the little containers. And, the giving out the sandwiches was a way to say we cared. If I didn't have the sandwiches, how could I tell them I cared? So the sandwiches became a vehicle and we learned their names: Arthur, Abe, Janice, Lucille, and we talked to them and they seemed to like the fact that they were no longer invisible. So, yeah, we got to know them. And then I decided I wanted to invite them back to my house for Thanksgiving dinner. And the only strange thing about that is I'm not a very good cook. Yeah. And I've never cooked a Thanksgiving dinner. But I didn't let that deter me because I really wanted to reach out to them, and I thought it was something my sons would enjoy, and they did. So they took the bus from Port Authority bus to the bus station in Summit, and they got out ragtags, and we brought them to our home. And when we were at home, they they were happy. They talked to my two sons about sports, about the weather, and it was just a relaxing time. There was no airs to put on. It was just feeling about them and caring about them. So that was really wonderful. And after that, I realized I wanted to do more in helping the homeless. So I turned to my own county and I learned that 35% of all those experiencing homelessness in the United States are simply homeless, their families, and they stay out of sight. Their cars in shelters. They can find a shelter. They stay out of sight. You don't see them on the streets. And it was just a real good feeling to talk to the families. And, a little boy came up to me and said, "Do you have a house?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And I felt bad because I couldn't offer him my house. But, the Thanksgiving dinner was wonderful. But now I wanted to do more. And I wondered if the religious community knew that
Yes, one of the things, that I hear in you, Karen, is, everybody, no matter who they are, they want to be seen and heard. And I suppose with homelessness, it is a thing that I'm familiar with, and they feel invisible. But a lot of people just walk past them because they don't want to have to deal with the reality that there are people out there that are experiencing homelessness. So for you to invite all of those beautiful people, getting to know them into your home, and even to your sons to share that experience with you and to help you roller skating around and giving out sandwiches. I mean, I can imagine it in my mind. And for you to do something so kind, but wanting to help others is the start of a beautiful ripple effect. Because when
yes,
you reached out to the religious communities in your county and said, I've done this, I've met some of these amazing people, and through circumstances, beyond what they could face or change, they've ended up homeless or facing homelessness. And they came together, Karen, and what happened?
I planned a conference because I felt the first step had to be awareness. And we expected 100 to an all-day conference in Summit, New Jersey. And lo and behold, 200 people came, which was a testament to their caring. And that was the start of Family Promise because I didn't say much at the meeting. I had a priest, a rabbi, and an imam facilitate, but I did say at the end of the meeting, if we stay together and work together, people like Debbie will have a home. Debbie was a homeless woman who spoke, and it opened their eyes to homelessness that was right there in their community, but they didn't know because the family didn't have any telltale signs of homelessness. So,
So you bringing this awareness, bringing all of this, I suppose, interfaith communities together, and everybody working together to help people in their community that were seen as invisible. What an amazing, amazing thing to do, Karen. And again, for humanity, that it's again, even for now in our world, is that if one person stands up, one person can make a change that can create that ripple effect that you did. And it started out with the beginning of, you said, as with Family Promise. And Family
Yes.
Promise opened up to a lot bigger places in the world. Tell us about it, Karen.
Well, I never intended to reach places all over the United States, but that's what happened. I was just looking at the need at hand, and I wanted to find a shelter. I met with a group of people. We were looking for a shelter, but we couldn't find one building to house the families, and not one church could be a shelter. So I said to everybody, why don't we work together? And maybe we can do together what any one church cannot do alone. So 11 churches and one synagogue came together and agreed to provide shelter in their buildings a week at a time on rotation with the others. But the magic of that was the caring volunteers. And they just, yes, they made meals, they rocked babies, they played with children. Their children played with guest children. But it was just the amazing interaction between the hosts and the guests. That's what we called the volunteers, hosts, and the homeless families, guests. It was just amazing to see the change. And about 80% that year found housing, often with the help of a volunteer who had a rental problem or knew of someone that could help the families. So it was a lot more than just saying we cared. We took action, and that made all the difference.
Wow, that is just, I love that, Karen, because just as you said, it's okay to raise awareness, but it's the taking action, isn't it? It's bringing people together to
Yes.
take action and to show that working together, we can support and help others. And I know that, Karen, because I didn't go as far as you. But years ago, I had heard about the homeless situation in Galway, the west of Ireland, in our city and county. And I thought, what can I do? Just like you, what can one person do? So I thought, well, why don't I sleep out in the backyard with my two dogs for one night in the rain and the wind? It was around this time of the year. And I let my local newspaper know and that I want to raise, a few pounds, a few euros to help maybe one person. And I did that. And for me, it was like stepping into somebody else's shoes for the night. And I, documented and shared it on social media how it felt. I knew I was going into a warm bed the next morning. This was just for 12 hours in the nighttime. And I had my two dogs for company, as many homeless people have. They have their animal or somebody with them.
Mhm.
And I said the next day, I didn't raise a lot of money, but I raised awareness. And I did it again the next year and invited friends and family members. And the next year, there was even more people. It is now one of the biggest community fundraisers in the west of
Wow,
Ireland.
it's
So
really
again,
wonderful.
that's what I feel is one person. Sometimes people believe, what can I do? I'm only one person. But I think everybody of us, like you, taking action, just raising awareness and having the courage to step out and say, we can do more. Together, we can do more for each other. We can
Yeah.
support other people. Amazing, Karen. I
Yep.
just
It was a
love all of your energy and I love that you went out there and brought so many people together to create Family Promise. It went on to be bigger and better in every way, Karen, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It had a life of its own. At first I thought nobody would get involved, but we had so many volunteers sign up. They really wanted to make a difference. And it was just amazing to see so many people who cared and wanted to help. And then nearby counties in Essex County and Morris County, which are near Union County, said, how do you start this program? So I worked with them and told them how to put the program together. And by that time, I had a manual on how to build a family promise affiliate. And they taught them how to recruit congregations. And they did that and they were successful. And yeah, and then other counties and other places from Columbus, Ohio to Philadelphia wanted to start one too. So I worked with them. And then I saw that compassion has no boundaries. Compassion, people everywhere, and they may not know the first step to take. So by forming Family Promise, I gave them a way to step up and make a difference. They really appreciated it. So from there, I saw, that this could be replicated across the United States. So I hired some volunteers who went out and met with clergy in places like Phoenix, Arizona, Orlando, Florida, and then we would help them build the program. And everybody was very receptive.
Yeah. By 2016, you had your 200th location in Shenandoah. I'm not able to pronounce it now. Shenandoah County. Uh,
Mhm.
I probably the pronunciation is all wrong, Karen.
Yeah, that's it.
200th location. I mean, even now, just thinking back, Karen, crossing the street, meeting Millie, and then in 2016, opening up your 200th location in Northwest Virginia. Just amazing, just so powerful.
It is, and I don't think it's me. I think it's God working through me, using me to start the program and, drawing the right people around the country to implement the program. Because everywhere we went, or most everywhere we went, people wanted to make a difference. And that was amazing to me because at one time I thought people just don't care. But that was early on. And to come to see the program being replicated everywhere was a wonderful, wonderful thing and prove that compassion is alive and well. And if people are given away, they want to do it.
And I think what I also feel, Karen, is in your story that when we show compassion to others, that we start, and again, I go about the ripple effect, and you said God working through you, but it takes us to step forward to
Yes,
allow that to happen. And
that's
that,
true.
but it also takes courage, Karen, which you had an immense amount without even realizing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And in doing so, you allowed other people to have courage, the volunteers, all of the other, communities that came together. But you gave courage to the people that were affected by homelessness, that things could change, that there is hope, that they are seen in the world as human beings, that they do matter. And again, that's all every one of us want, isn't it, at the end of the day?
yes. Yes, it was remarkable how much the families appreciated the volunteers, complete strangers who came in and read a story to a toddler, brought their own children to volunteer. And some of those children have gone on to careers in social work. So it just, the beginning was through going to their church and volunteering to help homeless families. So it was remarkable.
As you sit back here now and you talk to this Irish woman on the Sharon Fitzmaurice podcast, and you think about yourself crossing that street and everything that you've done since, and all of the people that you have met, volunteers and people that experienced homelessness, what stands out the most for you, Karen, in all of that?
It just is that people are caring and they need a way to express that caring. So if you give people a way that's specific and it's something they can do, they'll do it. And it gives me hope for humanity that there are so many caring people that want to make a difference. And it's really quite remarkable.
Yeah. And I think you have sparked something inside of me, and I know my listeners will feel it too. And if there was something that they thought, oh, well, I'm only just one person, maybe I can't do it, maybe they'll have a change of heart and maybe they'll step out of the shadows and maybe they'll decide to go forward and say,
Yes,
there is a stronger purpose for all of us. Because I hear many people saying, I'm not sure what my purpose is. And like you, one of the things I would say is to be compassionate to yourself and to others, to do your best for yourself and others every day in whatever small or big way that is. Maybe that's your purpose today. But again, like that, we don't know where that kindness, that compassion will lead us, just as it led you on this beautiful journey of helping so many others, encouraging others to volunteer, to get involved, raising the awareness that there is such a huge homelessness issue within every country in the world, whether we like it or not, it is there. And in November, it is National Awareness of Homelessness. And I think we need to see these things and we need to hear about the stories and the changes that have been made, are being made, and can be made by us as individuals with the support of each other, just like you did.
yes. And maybe you begin by volunteering, excuse me, at a shelter, and that could lead to something else as you meet homeless families. Many who are volunteers then mentored families. And that made all the difference with our program because it was that one-on-one contact between the volunteer and the guest families. So just start where you are and do something. You don't have to build a whole big organization. You just have to step out and, at a small level, maybe it's making a sandwich and giving it to a homeless person in your community. Um, it just, that's what makes a difference just to begin. When you begin, you can see all the difference it makes.
Yes, absolutely. And again, I always think if, like I did that night, many years ago, and sleeping out in the backyard, stepping into somebody else's shoes, how would I feel if I was actually in that circumstances, sitting, on the street, having to shelter in a train station, and everyone walked by me and felt invisible? How would I feel? So again, it's to notice the people around us, to notice the world around us, and how we can create a small change that might lead to bigger changes down the road. And in your book, Karen, Meant for More, I love that title. It's so amazing. You're telling your story from the tragedy in your childhood of losing your mother at such a very young age, which of course has a huge impact on any child, but to adult, living a life full of compassion and service, and it made you stronger and more fulfilled than ever before. That's a powerful story, not just to share with the world, Karen, but a legacy to leave long after we're gone from this world, that you have made a difference. And I think that's something we would all like to leave a legacy behind of.
Yes, yes, I feel that I have. And and I feel that I have made a difference. It wasn't until I had an accident that I really appreciated it, because I was always running here and there, helping people, very busy. That people would say, "Oh, Karen, aren't you amazed at what's happened?" And I would say yes, but I wouldn't really feel it until I had this accident. I fell out of a cryotherapy chamber and I hit my head and I became paralyzed from the neck down at that time. But then I was, you know, just able to sit and think about all the families that have helped. And I really marvel at all that's been done by volunteers and how this ministry has spread. It's definitely beyond me. I mean, I was the catalyst, but God is in it every step of the way, I believe. And just it was really beautiful. I could take it in. Now I'm feeling much better. I'm able to take some steps and everything moves except my right arm. And but I even enjoy my new life because I'm surrounded by wonderful aides and PT people. And yeah, so I don't know why I had the accident. It was a new someone who was new to cryotherapy, and she wasn't able to help me in the way she should have. The chamber got very cold, and I said, "I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold." She opened the door, but she stood behind the door, and I fell out like a popsicle, hitting my head. But I had the presence of mind to ask for a phone, and I called my two sons, and they came down, and I spent a couple months in the hospital in Florida. But now that was 6 years, and now I'm doing very much better. I like the walking that I do. And yeah, I'm not unhappy. I'm still happy, very happy.
You're a beautiful example, Karen, that even through tragedy and loss and accidents, that we can still create space in our hearts for joy,
Mhm.
for moments of it, for compassion, for caring for others. And that 6 years on, you are able to move some now and you're enjoying your life.
Yes,
That is beautiful, Karen.
yes. Well, I have a wonderful new family in my aides and my assistant, Jen, and just all the wonderful people around me that I feel quite happy. And I met a homeless man some time ago in the park, because the park is right near my apartment. And I saw him there, but I wasn't sure. This was before my accident. I wasn't sure if he was homeless or not. So I was going to give him a $20 bill and put it in his bag. But I thought, what if he isn't homeless? He'll be, you know, he might say, what does she think I am, homeless? So I waited until I saw him again, and then I saw him outside. um, Dunkin' Donuts, and he sat there on a bench, and I said, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" He said, "I'd love one." Okay, I said, "Get one for you and one for me." So I got the coffee, and we sat there and talked. I bought him a phone so he could communicate. And now through the task force, which I'm on in Summit for the homeless, we have been able to help. There were 20 homeless people in Summit, and we've been able to help 15 find house. And one of them was Ed, and he loves his new apartment. He's a different man because he can lay down at bed. That's all he wanted to do. And he's just changed and been, now full of energy and groomed, and it's really wonderful to see. But most of all, in the States, it's a housing crisis. For every four people that are eligible for a housing, only one gets it, so
Yeah,
it's a track. And I guess the same is true in Ireland.
absolutely, Karen. We're hearing it more and more every single day from people how they're struggling, especially young people. And then, like that, the rent goes up, there isn't availability for even young people to get on the housing ladder. So, a lot more people are facing homelessness now. And as you
Right.
said, a lot of families living in cars, even with full-time jobs, and they're struggling to maintain a family life and security. And I think it's something that you have raised and that I know with Galway Simon Community, who I've started volunteering for by sleeping out that night, was that home, a house, is a basic human right for every person and should be a basic human
Could be.
right for every single person on the planet, devoid of their circumstances, but everybody should be entitled to somewhere they call home to feel sheltered and safe. And whereas you
Mhm.
said, can lay down their head and feel safe that they can rest that night so they can get up the next day and feel like they've been given the respect and care and compassion that every other human being has a right to.
Right. It all starts with the home. When you have a home, everything goes on from there. Ed is now looking for jobs, and
Mm,
he's happy. He goes to the library, not to sleep like he used to, but to read. And it's life-changing, and
mm,
people can be helped out of homelessness. We see it every day.
mm. Well, you absolutely can. And I know that you received a very prestigious award from a president, no doubt, called the
Yeah.
Point of Light.
Yes, from President George Bush. And yeah, I went to the White House with another volunteer, had a dinner, and received the award. Um, that was nice, but that's not really what fills my heart. What fills my heart is when I help somebody who's homeless and see the change in them. That's my reward.
Yeah. But even in this award, the name of it, Point of Light, because that's
Yes.
exactly what you are and have
Wow.
been, a point of light that shines a light in the dark corners of the people that feel invisible, you guiding light to allow other people to get involved and to support the work and to support others. You are that lighthouse that is shining a
Oh, well,
light in
thank
the
you.
dark. It is just such a beautiful, beautiful life that you have chosen. Not all of it, because you've experienced the sadness and loss, and with your accident, all of those things, but you're still a point of light for so many others, especially in Family Promise. And now in your book, Meant for More, because your words will live on and inspire other people, Karen. which is
Yes.
something I think we all wish for when we leave this earthly home. Has anyone ever called you an earth angel, Karen?
No,
That's
no.
what you are to me. You're like the angels that walk upon the earth in a human form, and they
Oh,
try to bring goodness wherever they can, and compassion and care and
I
love.
like that. I can relate to that.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that with me.
yeah, you're definitely an earth angel in this world, Karen. And again, I get the opportunity to speak to the most amazing people on the podcast. And I
Mhm.
sometimes think if I didn't start it, if I didn't have the courage to speak up and talk about my own life and the things that happened for me, I wouldn't get to experience people like you in the world. And now, through this conversation, it will go out to across the globe to many other people that I feel you are going to inspire when they hear this conversation.
Yes, I hope so. That would be very nice because everybody has a light inside of them and it just shines brightly. And they have to just take the first step, however small, in reaching out to someone.
Well, I appreciate your light, Karen Olson, and I
Mm.
thank you for all that you have done in this world to shine it brighter on everyone else's lives, but today in shining it in my life, because I just have to commend you on your work, on your legacy, and your strength. And I wish you the well for everything else in the future, and that many people will contact you or reach out to you, read your book after this podcast goes out.
So thank you. And they can get the book on Amazon or bookshop.com or Barnes and Noble. So
I
that's
w- I will put the links up in the show notes, Karen, and look after
okay.
all of that. And you have a picture of the book there, yeah?
Yes.
Beautiful. So Karen Olson, meant for more, following your heart and finding your purpose. And you definitely did that, Karen.
Thank you. Sharon, it's been a pleasure
It
talking with
was,
you.
and you, Karen, thank you so much for your time and for your beautiful energy and your beautiful smile. It's something that I say we can give freely, isn't it, every day, a smile. So
Mhm.
I want to thank you again. And I look forward to looking into the world with brighter eyes and knowing there's people like you out there still and they're making a difference. So thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you, Sharon. It's a pleasure
Very
being here.
So, thank you everyone for listening to that beautiful, beautiful human that is Karen Olson. I will leave all the details in the show notes how you can connect with her and find out more about getting her book, Meant for More. You've been listening to the Sharon Fitzmaurice podcast. Until next time, take care of you.